Hello and welcome to Math with Otu, where math is simple, fun, and practical. This is our quantitative reasoning series, right? The second series, and this is section B. Okay, let's look at the numbers and see how they connect. Okay, we have 3 samples with 4 different parts, right? How do we connect this number, right? And remember that if you're practicing for exam, you have to also practice with speed and accuracy because you're going to need that in your exam. All right, now looking at these, just taking a glance through the samples, I could see some perfect squares. That's why you should already master your perfect squares. All right, you can see 9, 49, 36. So in my mind, I already know that squares are involved in this one. All right, and then if I trace it, if you trace this down, you can see 3. So that means 3 squared is 9, 7 squared is 49, and 6 squared is 36. As simple as that, right? So you should already know your perfect squares so that when you see them across your samples, you can easily identify them. All right, and then we're done with this line. So what's the relationship between 4 and 64, 2 and 8, 5 and 125? All right, I'm going to use, okay, we can use any of the samples. So let's use the first one. So 3 squared equals to 9. We've settled that. We'll come back to it. Now we're looking at 4 and 64, 2 and 8, 5 and 125. All right, from your number fact 2, you should have been able to see that these are cubes of numbers. All right, so from here you can see that 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. Okay, so this, like I told you, this is a test of knowledge. All right, to check if you know it. All right, and then how you can apply what you have already learned, the numbers you've been practicing and you've already learned. So before you take your quantitative reasoning exams, you should have also mastered your squares and cubes. All right, you should know squares and cubes, square root and cube root. All right, and that will help you in this kind of question. So you wouldn't even waste time on this. Just looking at it, you've already seen that 7 squared is 49, 2 cube is 8. So that means 2 to the power of 3 is 8. Okay, since I'm using this particular sample, so I'm going to take that off and then move with this. So I have 4 raised to the power of 3 is 64. So 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. All right, so easy. So we know how to get 9. We know how to get 64. So how do we get 3 from here? If you take the square root, or if you take the square of a number, coming back you take the square root. So we're going to take the square root of 9, and the square root of 9 will be 3. And if you take the cube of a number, if you want to reverse that operation, you take the cube root of that number. All right, I explained that in the exercises. All right, you take the cube root of the number. So with these squares and cube, easy peasy. All right, square the smaller one, you get the bigger one. Cube this, and you have that. And you can also reverse with the root, and that will make your work very easy. So let's go ahead with the analysis and solve. All right, now to the exercises. We have questions 4 to 7, and then we have analysis that we have done already. Okay, so in the question number 4, we have to find the topmost number, and in analysis that is 9. How did we get the 9? We squared 3. We took the square of 3 and we got 9. So that means we are taking the square of 9, right? And that's 9 squared. 9 squared simply means you multiply 9 by itself, and 9 times 9 is what? 81, right? So 9 squared is 81. You should already know that as part of your number facts. Okay, and number 5, we are looking for the bottom number here. Okay, So in our sample, that is in place of 3. How did we get the 3? We took the square root of 9 and we got 3. So square root of the top number will give you the bottom number. So we're taking the square root of 16. We're taking the square root of 16. So when we say we are taking the square root of a number, what does it mean? We're looking for that number that when you multiply by itself, it will give you 16. What is that number that when you multiply it by itself, it will give you 16? And that's 4. Because 4 times 4 is 16. So the square root of 16 is 4. So the answer to number 5 is 4. Easy peasy, right? And then number 6, we are looking for the, that's the left part now, okay? So that's in place of 4. How did we get the 4 from our analysis? We took the cube root of 64. So we are taking the cube root of 1. We are taking the cube root of 1. So we are looking for that number that when we multiply it by itself in 3 places, it will give us 1. So what number are we going to multiply by itself in 3 places that will give us 1? That's 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So the cube root of 1 is what? 1. Alright, so I'm leaving this for you. Okay? I'm leaving it for you, but I'm going to give you a hint. When you're working with squares and square roots, or cube and cube roots, and you're dealing with fractions, the square affects both numerator and denominator. So the square will affect the numerator and also the denominator. That means if you have 1 over 2 squared, this will be 1 squared over 2 squared. If you have 2 over 3 cube, this will be 2 cube over 3 cube. Alright, that's one thing you should understand with the fraction. So I would like to see your answer to number 7 in the comments. Please do well to send it in. Thank you. Bye.